Charles Lamb was a school friend of H.T. Coleridge. Charles Lamb lived between 1775 to 1834, and without his friend's philosophical ambition, Lamb possessed an simpler and more alluring way of writing. He assisted the general public to widen the field of its reading and rethinking the pronouncements of the 18th century critics. Charles Lamb was a friend of the late poets, but he passed his life as a clerk in a London office, which was far away from natural scenes. He was an ardent student of the Elizabethan dramatists. In 1807, he and his sister Mary published their tales from Shakespeare, which have passed through numerous editions and have brought the dramas of the great poet within the reach of children. Children used to read them. In his specimens of the English dramatic poets contemporary with Shakespeare, 1808, he chose the finest scenes from the plays of the Renaissance theatre and showed their merits by means of comments that were remarkable and praiseworthy for their justice and for their warmth of sympathy. Little by little, he covered the field of English letters, now dealing with prose writers of the age of John Milton, now with the comic authors of the Restoration, and illuminating with his imaginative merit or genius periods and writers neglected or hated for more than 100 years. According to Emily Ligby, Lamb was not only a critic but a poet, some of whose touching lines, like the old familiar faces, have lived. Above all, however, he was a refined humanist whose whose smile could be both satirical and tender. He revealed his own tastes and memories in his prose essays of early 1820 onwards. Here he did for London what Wordsworth was doing for the mountains, and finding in it boundless sources of delight for mind and heart, studying its people, its beggars, its chimney sweeps, as Wordsworth studied the shepherds of Westmoreland. According to Emily Ligby, the great mass of humanity amid which he lived inspired a kind of writing in which drollery was mingled with affection. In the very streets of the city, he found an inexhaustible source of instruction and enjoyment, just as the lake poets found it in their valleys and streams.